It still says weak. Click to continue. Remain in the meeting. Continue. Okay. Yeah. So you're one of the most prestigious colleges to get into, right? So first of all, I think congratulations to all of you guys just for doing that.
Yeah, ma'am.
Hi, guys. Hi. So what is you have?
Sorry, ma'am, I couldn't get you.
I said this talk that you have, this is part of a annual thing you do. I saw there was.
Yes, ma'am. So
you invite people. I saw.
Yes, ma'am. So right now we are having a 2-day annual symposium named Finergy. Under this, we have two events, the flagship events of our society. That is a case study competition and a research paper presentation.
Okay. And colleges are still closed, right?
Yes, ma'am. We are like having online classes.
So you're okay, online. I guess they'll be closed for another month or so, maybe after winter.
We hope to it opens like
but
as
there's no
soon
fun
as possible.
I'm sure. What's the point of being in college and not being able to go to college and have fun, no?
So ma'am, if like we may start with the session.
Sure, let's go.
Yes. Okay, so
I don't know, is this better or is this better?
It's right.
Is this better or the other one was better?
And this is perfect.
This fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
So good afternoon, everyone, ma'am, teacher in charge, faculty members, as well as the various attendees. Today, we have gathered for a very special session under Finergy 20, the annual financial symposium of Sriram College of Commerce, organized by the Finance and Investment Cell. Finergy is one of India's largest undergraduate financial research meet and is geared towards innovation, learning, exposure, and creating a holistic experience for all the participants, ranging from testing cost management and consulting abilities to refining resource optimization skills of the participants. Finergy is the cornerstone of collegiate life with highly engaging, thought-provoking, and renowned events. The extravaganza is graced by many esteemed researchers and over 2,000 participants. The two competitions, as I told, are CAS, the annual case competition, and Envision, the annual research paper competition. So today, to grace our event, we have amongst us Renu Sud ma'am, the Managing Director of HDFC Ltd, the biggest brand of a nation and one of the biggest in the world. Ma'am has been part of this institution from 1978. She broke all barriers, and in 2010 she became the managing director. And she has been a very chief force behind the expansion of HDFC, which now has helped more than 5.8 million families to have a house of their own. Ma'am has also served as the president of International Union for Housing Finance, and the list of her accolades and achievements are seamless. She has won awards ranging from top women CEO to the best woman corporate leader. So now I would like to invite Ms. Saroj Joshi, the teacher in charge of FIC, to welcome ma'am.
Thank you, Vatsal. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I, Saroj Joshi, on behalf of Finance and Investment Cell, SRCC, welcome you all for today's session. And it is giving me immense pleasure to have Madam Renu Sud, Managing Director of HDFC Ltd amongst us. It is indeed a matter of pride to have you with us, ma'am. Thank you so much for sparing your valuable time for SRCC. I think everyone is eagerly waiting to listen to your views on the current topic. And I think there could have been no person better than you to take up the topic, as you are related with the topmost institution in the field of finance. So I request you to kindly take over the session and enlighten us with your thoughts, ma'am. Welcome, and over to you, ma'am. Are you here, Renu, ma'am?
I guess ma'am is having, yeah, ma'am is here now.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you are on mute. Yeah.
Okay, good. Now fine?
Yes, ma'am, it's okay now.
I'm so sorry. I think the connection is very bad in my office.
Ma'am.
Okay, sorry. Should I start?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, sure.
All right, thank you so much for inviting me today. I am a Delhi University student, donkey's years before you guys. And I always admired people who went through this wonderful institution, SRCC. I didn't go there, I went to Miranda House. But because I didn't want to do commerce, that's the reason. But I know you got some of the best people coming out. And I just congratulate all of you who got into it. You obviously were the toppers. I just want to wish you guys to continue to be so, right, in life. It's not necessary to be toppers only in education, but to be toppers in what you do, both in a personal life and otherwise. So it would have been so much nicer to be able to be there with you, right? When you go to a college auditorium, normally you have, the very eager and the curious ones sitting in the front line. Then you have the guys who are more argumentative and skeptical sitting in the middle, okay? And then you have the nice ingenious pranksters, right? The guys who are the backbenchers. And it's such fun to actually interact with all of them. Unfortunately, we don't have that opportunity, but hopefully one day we will. Having said that, with this huge social distancing and whatever we have to do, I think it's odd times for all of us. We've never seen it. You're much younger. Hopefully, you never have to see it again other than this time. But having said that, let's start. My topic was supposed to be implications of digital and the technological transformation in finance. This is very, very relevant today as we speak. Personally, it is also very close to my heart because I have spent close to, now my guys, all of you guys, hold on to your chairs. You're going to say, oh, the hell, who am I talking to? I've spent 4 decades in this business and I enjoy it even today after so many years. And I've seen what the ramifications of, digital and technology has been. I think in some ways, my generation has been one of the generations which literally, if anybody has read Peter Thiel, in which he talks about his famous book, From Zero to One, called like a vertical progress. Literally, if you draw a graph, you're at 0, and all of a sudden, you're at the top. This is creating something which was not there. Basically, what it talks about is this thing wasn't there earlier, but so quickly it has come up that, there was no slow rise at all. And I think the digital revolution has really done that. It is basically, from the time Mr. Sam Pitroda. So for all of you guys who may not know, Mr. Sam Pitroda really in some ways can be said the person who under Mr. Rajiv Gandhi's government actually started the technology revolution in India. He set up an entity called CDOT, which stands for the Center of Development of Telematics, right? And he completely ushered in a telecommunication revolution. In fact, one of the reasons we are where we are today in this is because he sowed the seeds at that point in time. So, literally from being nothing to a digital India framework, where we now have an ecosystem where we have the India stack, we have paperless credit, we have digital payments, we have digi-lockers, etc. All these services have come into India. You guys have grown up or are being born into the corporate world, seeing all these things. For us, it was a huge change and a huge revelation. So as many of you know, you most probably read much more than I do, that we have close to 700 internet users in India, okay? Basically, this is close to about 38 to 40% of our population. We are only second to China, and I think the numbers that people put in that by 2025, we'll most probably be 1 billion users. See? So basically, there has been a juggernaut revolution in the internet space. And BFSI, which is where I come from, has also hugely benefited from this space. So there has actually been no sector that hasn't been affected by it. I think the BFSI sector took a little longer to get into it, but I think now the BFSI sector cannot do without it. So in the beginning, it was, should we do it? Should we not do it? Now it is basically thrust on us if you really want to go and give a good customer experience and a good customer service. I think so that is one of the most important things that have happened. It was maybe slightly reluctant, the transformation, but very soon it has, metamorphosed itself into the main facet of an organization. The other most important thing what has happened is, earlier when we were growing up in the organization, say 10, 20 years ago, IT was one department, and there was one person who was in charge of IT, and one would say that he was the engineering guy and he was just trying to put things together. Today, the whole IT has moved into the boardroom. Today, the board members are asking, where are you on your digital technology? If you're not going to be there, you're going to be lost out. Where are you on cybersecurity? How good is your cybersecurity? So all of a sudden, even directors who earlier used to be more, wanting to look at what has been the top line, what have been the profits, are your compliances with regulators all okay? Today, even their role has changed. Their role has changed to see, of course, from a security and a data protection point of view, but also they're all urging their companies, whichever companies that they sit on, that please come up to speed. If you don't do that, you're going to be left out. So I have worked in HDFC, as I said, for a long while. And I think the biggest transformation, the biggest benefit has been on the customers. It has been a win-win situation for all customers. It has empowered customers with the result that, you can't take customers for granted. You should never do that. But having said that, we all do that. But now you can't take customer for granted because there's somebody else who's equally efficient and will go and give a better service. If you don't do it, it is, you have to, your turnaround times, in business, when you talk about a turnaround times, basically is if you made an application or you asked for something, how long does it take for you to get it? So your turnaround times have to be very fast. You have to, and sometimes you have to ensure that services are available 24/7, because people like you actually are sitting on their computers at 10, 11, 12 at night and doing transactions, right? So you have to be available, because otherwise you'll miss out on what you call the so-called millennials, right? So you have to be really available, all much more than, maybe not 24/7 in my business, but much longer than what we used to be earlier, which used to be just 8 hours. So I think this has really led to a whole transformation. But the most important benefit actually has really gone to the marginalized customer. Earlier, to walk to a branch, you needed to be presentable, you needed to have a good record, you were most probably living in cities, and there were offices enough around you. Today, what has happened is people who are far off, people who are in second-tier cities, people who are working in not the so-called good employers, but employers who are good but are smaller. But now you can find out more about that employer. There's so much information available in the market. There's so much information available from company law. There's so much information available, where you can actually decide whether this person's job is secure, not secure. So much has happened in terms of trying to check whether his income is the right income or not. Earlier, we had to be dependent on whatever the person told us, or maybe look at his bank account. Now you can go and find out if he'd taken a loan, if he'd taken a credit card loan, what has happened, did he pay well? So this whole thing has changed. The most important one, which all of you kids will know as part of being commerce students, is this whole revolution which was created by JAM, what they call the Jan Dhan Aadhaar, Trinity, as they call. So what has happened is, because of the bank accounts being opened, the so-called people on the fringes, who most probably at times had no identity or had no proof of showing what their identity was, is now available. When that's available, banks like ours, people like us, can go and actually lend to them, because today now we can track a person. It's not that, he can take a loan, he can take a car loan and disappear. So all that has happened. So we, as you know, there's something close to 40 crore Jan Dhan accounts, and close to, 200 million monthly transactions happen on the Aadhaar-based e-payments platform. So there's been a huge financial inclusion. So people who were hitherto left out of this growth story, or were not able to access some of the finances, are now able to do it. So there is also, this was really bolstered by BharatNet, the scheme. This was to provide internet connectivity, coupled with the fact that India has one of the highest mobile penetration globally. And this will really continue to help entities like banks, or even FMCG entities, to accelerate and proliferate, how all the services that we have. One of the biggest inventions for banking, if any of you want to ever get into the banking sector, and you'll come to understand this, is the banking correspondents. So now they have people practically in every village who's a banking correspondent, through whom the person who's there in a village is looking for putting his money in a deposit, earning better than he was earning earlier, taking a small loan, an agricultural loan, a farmer loan. These banking correspondents, thanks to technology, thanks to what is available today, are able to actually reach out to the customer. So I think this has been a huge benefit to what I would say is middle to low income India. Okay. Another transformation has really been this whole thing of online financial aggregators. These are financial product marketplaces that have been created, and you have these financial aggregators that are there. So these people have literally simplified, some of the most complicated products that were there. Earlier, to go and buy, put money in a mutual fund, or to go and buy bonds. The bond market is even today not very deep, but as an individual, if you wanted to go and buy bonds, it was a very difficult task to do. Today, thanks to these aggregators, you just have to go onto a platform and you're able to write your check, get the money from your account, put it into the company whose bonds you're wanting to buy, and there you are. So I think mutual funds, bonds, and also participation in the equity market by these very mobile-friendly applications actually have helped everybody to navigate through various interfaces, and I think that has become a very, very important point for the Indians who don't live in metros. If you're looking at third and fourth tier towns, third and fourth tier towns were never on the map earlier of any company. They used to come far down. People were looking at the metros, then after the metros, maybe the state capitals. After the state capital, you looked at maybe one more city. All of a sudden, the whole world is opened up for you. Okay. So this has been a very, very interesting thing. Even women, I think this has helped women come into some bit of financial decision making. So if they had some money earlier, they had to wait around what to do. Today, if they're literate, even halfway literate, and with some help, they can actually go and decide what they want to do with their own money instead of waiting. I'm sorry, I'm sounding a little bit feminist, but I'm saying, to handle your own money, you don't have to give it to the man in the family. You can go and invest it yourself. So if you're a housewife and you save that money up, instead of putting it in your cupboard between your saris, you can go and put the money where you're going to earn something. So I think this has really changed the way, the common man in India is able to access. Of course, there is a huge category of people who are below the low income group. Yes, we haven't reached those levels. Those are a different set of people. What they really need right now first is a job, and then is money enough to be able to feed their families. Thereafter comes investments, but all the others, right? So I think this is one thing which has happened. So the other thing that, the government started is also this, they are called internet-based services, or seva kendras. And these are the, what I talked about earlier. So for institutions like ours also, or insurance companies, can now actually tie up with some of these Seva Kendras. They're also called the CSCs, and there's something like 4 lakh CSCs all over, where the common person on the road can go and ask for, can I get a health insurance? Can I open a bank account? What can I get a small loan? So literally financial services has reached, I would say, the closest it ever has to very, very, normal, ordinary people. How has it changed business? I think digital transformation has altered significantly the basic business models. In this digital era, the legacy systems, products, and services have become rather obsolete. There was a brief period between where digital practitioners promulgated a two-speed system, where the legacy and the digital system coexisted. But with the proliferation of demand and, the faster business turnaround times that people want, they want an answer yesterday, you apply today, literally, they realize that, you can't really straddle two. You really need to go really for the digital product. And therefore, much of the processes and products had to be literally reinvented, which were over and above and really outside of what our legacy systems were. So most of the brick and mortar institutions are getting up and, as they say, smelling the coffee to embark on this really huge transformation that has been happening. As far as the new age companies are concerned, which is not where I work, HDFC is still an old age company. We're 42 years old. We have reinvented ourselves, but at the same time, there is a legacy system we carry. But the new age companies who are coming, they are really doing direct to customer models, where actually there is no physical interface at all. They don't even really need a physical presence. And most of them operate from homes. And it is not necessary to have an office at all. Having said that, I would say some businesses, some products can work like that. Some other products cannot work like that. For example, the business that I'm in the business of a home loan. You guys are too young to think about that right now. But when you start looking for a house, you're not looking only for money. You're also looking to see, listen, is this builder okay? What has been your experience with this builder? Will this builder build and give me the house when I want it, right? Are you happy with the way the building is coming up? I hope he's putting cement and not sand, So these are the questions you want to ask. So some businesses cannot go into that totally, but a lot of these can go. So basically products which need to be distributed, they can really get onto the digital mode. I think the other thing that has happened, again, from a business point of view, is this huge, what they call big data, and more than that, data analytics. I don't know how much of it that you people study in the BCom and the commerce courses, but data analytics is something that every business is now basing their future decision-making, and as to what products they should go to, what segments they should go to, what age segment. So it has been spliced so well that you can really, the predictive models sometimes work out to be so good that, I wonder how the hell did I do business earlier? So it is really, in some ways, been replaced by, it has replaced wisdom, it has replaced experience, and I think also a gut feel. Having said that, I must tell you, I am a firm believer that a gut feel is the most important thing when you're doing, taking a decision. You understand all the facts, you understand all the numbers that people are saying you, but something within you has to tell you that, is this the right way to go? Of course, sometimes you make mistakes, but in most cases, strategy and decision-making is very, very important, which is where you use your head. But a gut feel is something that actually, what only you get from experience, you only get from when you've dirtied your hands, okay? So, but again, I would say, analytics has also changed the face of marketing, as I mentioned. By replacing the broad segmentation of the years which were there earlier into what they call a paradigm, which is called N is equal to 1. As per this data-driven paradigm, every customer is unique, and a segment in itself irrespective of the demographic and the psychographic similarities with other customers. The concept that makes it possible to customize products and actually to service each and every customer based on what he or she is looking for. So the main economics, right? I'm not sure if I did an MA in economics today only, of the time that I did. That time, I would be able to get into a job where I'm going to be actually in the BFSI segment. Of course, I could still go and be an economics lecturer. I can still, become a researcher. But I'm talking about, the sort of a change in the sort of employee that a customer, employer is looking for is also changed. Okay, employees with advanced technical skills are being preferred as opposed to generalists. And of course, commerce is technical in a way, not technical, not engineering technical, but it is not a generalist skill. Okay, at the top of the hierarchy, though, I would still say experience, wisdom, and knowledge of all domains is very, very relevant. But at the same time, I think the things that you need to keep in mind is that technology is so dynamic, obsolescence rates are so high. You as students and you as youngsters coming into the work market have to make sure that you're always up to that. You're always learning, you're always refreshing, you're always there to understand what is different happening. Okay, so I think what we really need to also understand is that even if you have a job, even if you're in a job, that need for learning continues, because as new technologies come in, redundancy sets in. How are you going to make sure that you're going to be able to be relevant to your organization? So that's one of the things that you should learn while you're in college, that you should always be wanting to learn something. It doesn't matter what it is, how simple it is or how complicated it is, but learning a skill, learning something new is something that is going to keep your generation, which wasn't so in my generation. If I got a job, I knew I could be there unless things change hugely, which they have in the last 10 years. But today that change is happening much faster. Okay. Moving on from the business impact, I think to the impact on industry ecosystem, I think a new ecosystem has evolved to support digital transformation, marketplaces, fintechs, business correspondents that I talked of, aggregators and security experts. All these have become the new ecosystem in which all of us are living. They have to be, as I said, be backed by a highly skilled workforce, and more than anything else, by a very, very agile organization. The organization that does not change is an organization which is going to be completely, redundant in the next few years. And that is at people like me, and we have to make sure that at any given time, even if I'm not the one who can, who can sort of always vision, have see what's coming, but I have smart youngsters and smart people who understand that when they come and tell me, I should have the ability to understand what they're saying and see how it's going to affect my business. Therefore, I also have to make sure that I keep my more than my skills, my understanding of what's happening, very, very much in the present. So as I said, learning never stops. So I think these attributes basically help them to be at the forefront of innovation. And I think one of the most important things that is happening today in any sphere is innovation. So I think regulatory aspects have also gone through a sea change. In any business, particularly in the financial business, regulators are very, very important. And regulators have to actually, they also have to, make sure that they come to speed with what the changes are. Otherwise, how the hell are they going to regulate? So they have to come, make sure that they are in pace with the new business models. Similarly, like the new practices that have been introduced. How do you check when a loan has been done completely digitally? There's no paper, there's no nothing. They need to know from where to get the information, what to check and what to cross-check, okay? So concepts like digital signing of agreements, okay? Today, when you come and take a loan from me, you have to come to my office, you have to sign, right? With this COVID, we've seen for 6 months, none of us could get out, but people still needed to buy homes. So how do I know that, Vatsal is indeed Vatsal? Okay, a video, meeting will help, but how do I make sure that I have it in my system? So video KYC, I'm sure many of you know, but stands for Know Your Own Customer. Today, every financial institution has to make sure that they do certain things that ensure that the person who they're lending to is indeed the person, basically ensuring that the money is not being misused. So the process is called Know Your Own Customer, okay? So video KYCs have come in. They've been different type of, funding is also now available. Earlier, giving a loan to somebody took so long. Today, as you know, some of you will know, people have also started with payday funding. So the day you get your pay, you come and pay back. But 1 week later, people come and pick up. I'm not saying you should do that. Never do that. Don't take debt. Debt should be taken very carefully. But I'm just saying this sort of funding, which we couldn't even have thought of earlier, because today you can link the bank account, you can link his salary, you can make sure that the money comes to you before he gets the money. All these things today can happen. Again, for this, the regulatory bodies have to be very smart to understand that prudent, sensible lending. Apart from all this, I would say there is also the privacy, but issues also come up. Issues come up. One of the issues which everybody is actually tackling with is the privacy of your personal data. Privacy of a personal data is one of the most important things around the world. You might have heard, and it's happening in India, there is your identity can get stolen. The first time I heard of it 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I said, how can somebody steal my identity? But yes, your identity can be completely stolen. And to get your identity back, to say, yes, I am Renu Karnad and that other person is not, is a humongous task, So therefore, this huge whole thing of protection of identity for entities like us, when we are lending, we have to be very, very, very careful. So there is going to be a data security bill that is going to come up. It already exists in Europe. It's called the GDPR. What does it stand for? I'll get the thing. But so today, any information that I have of a customer, I cannot give out. I cannot even call a customer without his permission. So he may have come and taken a loan from me, but I now want to sell him an insurance or want to send him something else. I'm not allowed to do it. I need his permission. So all these are things that the regulator is now responding to based on how the technological lending things have changed, right? It became a nuisance. People were getting calls at 10, 11 in the morning. Do you need an insurance policy? Do you need, so harassment, I would say somewhere. So I think, having said that, again, with the sort of, onus that is there on companies from regulators, had there been had the help of a digital technology was not going to be there, it would have been impossible for us to, meet those standards. So I think, one of the last things that you see when you look at the internet space and digital and technology, where you're really not seeing face-to-face, is cybersecurity. So all companies, one of the other things that at a board level is always discussed is cybersecurity, because everybody's trying to hack everybody. In this COVID days, if you talk to any of your IT or you talk to any of the banks, the amount of attacks we've had from China is incredible. Banks have been attacked, literally in thousands on a daily basis, trying to get into our databases, trying to get into, basically databases, and trying to, A, they can completely upset the whole system. B, they can get access to a lot of things. So cybersecurity is something that has become a big, big thing, which they discuss at the board level. And I think the most, and rightly so, because if an organization leaves this very, very vital, process that you're looking at, vital, and are not careful about it, you can not only be reputational risk, but it can also be a lot of monetary risk that you might have to, bear. So I just wanted to say that for young Indians like you and most of you, I don't even think I can call you millennials. I'll have to call you post-millennials, I think. You have to be literally, you're already digitally native. I mean, some of you must have started, on iPads, maybe, when you were 3 or 4 years old, and as I think now you're called the Generation Z, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a way of life for you. And, even dating for you is now looking at a screen like this and swiping left, right, right? Who are you going to date? Who are you going to go out with? All that comes so much personally into your life. But I still think some of the things that you need to still are old-fashioned, but are the ones that are going to take you a long way is integrity, integrity of purpose. Whatever you do, you must enjoy what you do, you must love what you do, and you must do whatever you do, whether you teach, whether you work in a farm, whether you work in an institution, make sure that, what you do wholeheartedly. That can never be digital. That will always be human. That is something you have to do. You have to make sure you keep an open mind. You are humble. You basically should be willing to learn, which is, I think, as I've said, most important. But I think humility and respect for our culture, respect for the organizations that you work for our country. I think these are some of the most important things where, digital or no digital, the future of India is going to take us there. So I just thought this is what I just wanted to tell you about. I just wanted to say it has completely transformed sectors. Of course, it's the manufacturing. You look at, how even diamonds are cut. Literally, they look at a computer and, they are doing what you even talk of operations. So it is something that you have to be in it. You have to be there. But at the same time, as I said, be careful that it doesn't take you over. You continue to be who you are, and that is being a good human. Thank you so much. I'm open for questions. You gave me half an hour. I don't know how much time I took. Was I within my time?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So not only was your speech informational, but also inspirational for us. So like, we asked questions from the attendees while they filled the form, and we have a few of them that we would like to ask you.
Sure.
So the first question is, the latest development in technology is, of course, artificial intelligence. But in a report, it is stated that India has only 2 out of the world's top 500 supercomputers. So, ma'am, do you think that are we lagging in terms of financing the research relating to AI, and what can be done in that regard?
See, I really don't think so. I mean, okay, supercomputers, true, whatever, but I don't think we are lagging in money or in, but as far as research is concerned, the sad part is the finest research still happens to be happening in maybe the US and maybe China. But particularly in the US, the people who are conducting that research, half of them are Indians. So remember that, So it's just that, it's something that we need to be so proud of, at least. So I think somewhere in India, even whether you look at the pharma sector, or even if you look at where a lot of research is required, or the biochemical sector, research is happening, but it's not happening in as big a manner as it should. And definitely it has got to do, to a great extent with the money that is available. We really need to first now spend money on education, on health, etc. Right? But having said that, I think we are well on our way. At least what I can say is we are producing very good intellectual, skilled manpower. And I think that is so important. I think other than China, us and maybe the US, the biggest pool of the smartest people still happen to be, coming from our country. And yes, very honestly, research is happening in some sectors, which particularly if you're looking at even some of the IT sectors, a lot of the companies abroad have outsourced it to us. And so we are doing it in India, but we are not doing it under our own, aegis.
So I'll move to the next question. So the latest development that we can see in the monetary sector is cryptocurrency. So what do you think is like the future of cryptocurrency in India, and how it can be implemented here?
I still think it's a little way off. I think the RBI is still not very positive on cryptocurrency. And if any of you are trying to put in any money and do anything, invest there, I would say wait. I think it's still way off. I'm not an expert on it, But let me tell you, I have heard enough to understand that it still doesn't have the blessings of our regulators.
Okay. So, ma'am, you hinted on a topic that's related to democratization of finance, like more and more people from every section of the society getting involved in finance and stock markets and making financial decisions of your own. So, can you like highlight more on how technology can help in such democratization of finance?
So, I'll tell you, for example, if you're looking at even my product, say a housing loan, okay? If you're looking at a small, you have a house and you want to top it up, you want to build another room, right? Today, if you're sitting in a location where I don't have an office, right? You apply from there. You can, electronically send in the application. We will sanction it. We will pull your bank account information. There's a platform for where we pull it. We'll get information if you're employed. If you're employed, it's much, much easier. If you're self-employed, we need to see numbers. Okay, you get that information. I'm able to tell you without seeing you, you're eligible for such and such money. Okay. Now, the point is, how does a loan get sanctioned? A loan is sanctioned only if I have some security. I just can't give you a loan and say hoping you'll pay me back. Now, for that security, I can't do it electronically. I'll need to know the house. I'll need to get the papers. But if it was not a housing loan, and if it was, say, a car loan, I mean, you must have experienced it. You want to buy a fridge. You go into a shop today and you say, I want to buy a fridge. Within minutes, your loan gets sanctioned and you walk out. If you work with if your account is with a bank, so I think this is the way it is getting democratized. The small guy who was looking for small money is able to go and raise it. The payday loans, right? I don't think it's a good idea, but having said that, right, you need money, and I'm going to pay you back from the moment I get my salary. Earlier, you used to have this big, huge Afghanis waiting out of offices. Isko paisa mila hai, let me collect it. Today, you don't need to do that. Before you get your pay, the money has gone to your to the lender. So I think these are the ways by which people who generally won't have access to financial services will do it. The most important aspect, the most important example is insurance. Okay, insurance, and especially health insurance. I think the government has done a fabulous job on this. Getting your health insurance. You go to a dedicated hospital. There's a third party fellow who approves it. You get admitted. Your insurance cover is approved. There is not much paperwork, no running around, no writing, going back later. And you guys would have ever experienced it, and I hope you've never done it. You're all very young. But earlier, to go and get your insurance claim was a nightmare. Today, that doesn't happen. These are your everyday things that you do have become so much easier because of digitization.
Okay, ma'am. Just one last question. So, ma'am, what are the steps that are taken by banks as well as financial institutions to the threats that you mentioned from hacking and their bank details being stolen? What's done by the financial institutions?
We do everything we can. Okay, any mail that you'll get from the bank, they'll tell you don't share your passwords. Don't share your passwords, and yet people will go and share their passwords. When you get into an ATM machine, look around. Of course, they're crooks. There's a different thing. But look around. Be careful. Don't let somebody be sitting there. I mean, we Indians are very shy of telling people to stay away. If you're in another country and somebody is using an ATM and you come and stand even near, they look back at you and say, please go back. We don't do that, but we have to do that. So you have to look after your own security. Having said that, you have to make sure that you go to a good institution, you go to a good bank, you go to a good place where your money is safe. But the most important thing, all the people who get into trouble is because you yourself have been lax in some way. Literally your PIN codes. I know, when you go to get your money, why don't you, I'll give you my PIN and you come back, right? I'll change it later. You know, these are things, leaving things around, leaving your credit card around, leaving your, you have to be careful. I think the most important thing is, you know, phishing attacks. People call you up, right? Don't give your information. I tell you, every bank, I sit on the board of HDFC Bank. I don't work for them. I work for HDFC, but I sit on the board of the bank. You know, how many times they'll be sending you this information. Don't, you know, if you get any call, do not give your information. Somebody with those Jamtara loans and all, you know how these people are. Still, people go and do it. So actually, very honestly, you have to be very, very, very careful.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. It was a very
Yep.
enriching
We at
experience
banks
for.
make sure.
Yes, ma'am. So it was a very
That's so
enriching
sweet of
experience
you.
to hear from you. So now I would like to invite Saroj
Thank you.
ma'am to deliver the vote of thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thank you.
Vatsal. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an insightful and a wonderful session. It was so lovely to listen to you, and especially your words for inspiration. I think everybody would be, you know, actually willing to follow those things in their personal life and be a good human being. So thank you so much, ma'am, for spending your time. Greetings from SRCC. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to thank
you,
the
and guys
FIC.
do very well.
Thank
Yes,
you, ma'am.
and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you, FIC team, for organizing, and all the participants for being with us. It was lovely to have you all with us. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye. Have a good day.
And
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and God bless you all. All right?
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Yeah,
Take care.
thank you,
ma'am.
Hope I
Thank
ever
you.
see you in real life. Bye-bye. Take care.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.